Hello everybody, my name's Josh. I'm here to do a sad and somber video about an unfortunate problem we have with our society. I'm going to label it Fox News. There's no particular way to attack Fox News without sounding like an extreme left-wing liberal, which I am not. Nor am I a conservative. I choose to be open, and I understand the necessity for a bipartisan system, as well as the necessity for conflict, so resolution can come from that conflict. Without major conflict, there has never been any moving forward as a society, or at least as a functional democratic society as we see it today. Now, I myself don't watch news channels. I may watch my local news now and again, although I don't have cable, but I keep an eye on the subjects at hand. I keep an eye on the world, and I can usually fit the world news into a pretty quick 10-minute search through the top headlines. It's not going to get you everything, but with that 10-minute search, it's guaranteed to get you much more than 5 hours worth of watching what they call news today on TV. People like Rupert Murdoch, who owns over 40 different television stations and basically runs the show, are able to push their personal views on the rest of the world through the media outlets. And what people call Fox News is not actually news at all whatsoever. Many of you may have seen the documentary called Outfoxed, and that gives a pretty good example. But one doesn't need to necessarily watch any documentaries. All one has to do is turn on Fox to see that they don't represent any form of journalism as it's known in the news world. All they do is merely take stories, recycle them into shows for ratings. Now, if you went to look at, say, MSNBC, sometimes they might go the opposite direction, and they throw in their personal views. Anytime an anchor or journalist throws in their personal opinion on top of a story, or starts it out by saying, oh no, we're doomed, this is happening, or something good is finally happening, it's all in the wording. You can tell that these people have personal opinions, therefore they're biased on how they provide the story. Personal opinion should be left at the door if you want to call yourself a real journalist. If you are going to have a show where you're talking about news, at least call it what it is. It's entertainment. And shows like Bill O'Reilly and Hannity, to me, are nothing more than modern day Jerry Springer. It's more bullshit entertainment. But the problem is, they disguise themselves as actual news. So the people who watch it, that don't know any better, especially the older generation who has grown up watching news and trusting journalism, is being completely fooled by the personal opinions of the people who are there. Then, of course, there are the large portion of people who also flock to these stations like Fox because they share the opinions already. And rather than see an actual fair and balanced view, they want to get their news from a place that agrees with their point of view. It's really hard to get unbiased reporting on anything today. And the liberal side tend to get sucked into the same paradigm that they claim that the right-wingers do. They start pushing blame and they start pointing fingers, and it becomes this big argument. The thing is that our political situation is not as dire as some people would have you believe. But by having these news stations completely bombarding us, telling us that everything's going to shit, people believe it. And people start to give up, and they start to think that no one gets along. And these shows push the idea that no one gets along in politics, as far as the right and the left. And I can see what conservatives have done. They have completely been overruled by their religious majority, and therefore they're forced to vote on certain issues the way that their group does, the way that the rest of the Republicans do. And if you don't, you're an outcast, you're hated, you have no work. The way I see it is people need to put their ethics and their integrity above their fear of losing their job or being exposed. People need to be honest with themselves. You know how many Republicans have been completely opposed to all gay rights, and then they find out that they're gay? It's a ridiculous amount of people. People are afraid to speak out on their own personal beliefs because they are stuck in a group. And when you group yourself, well, you know what happens. And with Democrats and Republicans, they're both forced to take millions and millions of dollars, it's getting into the billions now, for their campaigns, so they can ensure that they will actually get the job. And the only people that can afford to pay these big tickets are the corporations. But on the other side, we have folks reporting on issues like Fox News that claim to be news, and people buy it. People believe it. And to me, I find it completely ludicrous. I don't watch any of the shows. I watch Colbert, and he'll have clips on there from Fox News, but I haven't watched any news, left or right wing, in a long time. I'm turned off by NPR, and I'm turned off by Republicans. I'm turned off by all these people who pull the same shit that they point the finger at the other for doing. And meanwhile, we may not know all the details of what's happening in politics. At least we can make an assessment if we do the homework ourselves. Unfortunately, most people don't want to, so therefore they watch the news to get their information. And this leads us back to our problem. They're getting their information from news channels that don't do any of their own journalism. They just bite off of others, and they make a show about it, an opinionated show. So what people are calling news is not news. Wake up, people. Don't watch this shit. Look up the information. These same people will actually tell you that the internet, oh, you must have heard that on the internet. Well, yeah, I heard it on the internet because it's the only place that there is to get any chance of a real news. But an idiot could get sucked into the internet and believe every story too. You have to cross-reference. You have to go to sources that are legitimate. People who actually go to these places and do the homework. Everyone's biting off of someone else. Everybody's riding on the coattails. And these channels like MSNBC and Fox News, they're all biased. Listen to what a journalist says. When they make smirky remarks or they make a comment, you know that they're being pushed to impress one side or the other into their newscast, and that's just wrong. Down with fake journalism. Peace out.